Howdy folks, so it has been a very long time since I first posted my tour of what I call just the cabinet. It's one of a few cabinets I have 2 display horses in, but this is definitely by far my largest. If you've seen the first one, you kind of got the whole rundown. It's about 5.5 feet wide, 5 feet tall. It's basically just been quite a while since I last did a tour of this cabinet, so I figured there's a lot of new faces, there's some faces that have since moved on to new homes, and there's other faces that have just been here the whole time but have since moved as congas have gotten bigger and also shrunk. Without further ado, let's get on with the show, but first there is one thing that I actually did not show the first time around, and that's that the cabinet is completely lighted. I have pretty good lighting right now, but you know what? We're just gonna turn on the lights because why not? And there we are in all their beautiful sparkling glory. Ta-da! Alright, let's just get started. So one of the things I brought with me today is a magical pointy stick, also known as a wooden dowel, just so hopefully it's a little bit easier for you guys to tell who exactly I'm talking about at any given time. So apologies for this part of the tour being handheld, my tripod just does not go up this high, so you're just gonna have to bear with me for a few minutes. So this is the top of the cabinet, which is basically kind of like my classics graveyard. I do definitely want to start clearing these guys out a bit as I'm not into classics nearly as much as I used to be, but we're gonna include them in the tour because they do technically count. In the front row here, I just have my Mustang foals. I'm not gonna go through all these guys individually. Next to him, Mustang foals. Quarter horse foals, Arabian foals. Sophia, the web special here is to date my only Nan champion. Well, reserve champion, but I'm still very proud of her. And next to them, we have the Andalusian foals, the Warmblood foals, the I don't remember foals. I have a Mustang mare from JCPenney and her mate is behind her. We'll get to the other guys momentarily. Behind the Mustang foals, we have Ruffians, my Gingers, Black Beauties, a really beat up Seabiscuit on the swaps mold, poor little dude, my Mariahs, my Marylegs, and the aforementioned Mustang Stallion. And then in the far back we have all of my Mustangs. I had a thing for the Mustang mold for a while, so I ended up with a lot of them. Most of these guys are from Walmart. Behind them, the Duchesses. I don't know how the hell I ended up with so many Duchesses. I don't even like her that much. And then in the front here, my Hobos. I always had a soft spot for him, so these are 2 of the Riddle Passing Through Time guys and Pony Express dude. Next to him, I have a factory unfinished version of Buckaroo, the Breyers 2013 special run. And then next to him, I have my Misties and Stormies, so Misty, Jingles, Coral Reef, Stormy. And some nice classic Arabs. Down the back, I have Julian, Drinkers of the Wind, Cosette, the uber lovely Red Roan regular run mare. Next to her, I have the Zodiac series Morgan as Scorpio, because I am a Scorpio, I am an astrology hoe, and I could not resist her. And I have the Gypsy Van Aberration, who, if you know me, I really do not like that mold, but he's fun to take pictures of, so that is the only one that will ever grace my collection. And then we have my 3 ethereals, we have Water, Fire, and the Appaloosa Spun Gold. So on the very top shelf, this is mostly my Nakota Konga, but also right now I do have 3 vintage Clydesdale stallions in here. So first we have the original Bay guy. This is a muscled version, but he's the one with the gold bob, so he's definitely one of the earlier ones. Early to mid 60s or so. He's in very nice condition for his age. Next to him we have a no muscle wood grain Clydesdale stallion. He's from the late 50s to early 60s, also in pretty excellent condition, especially for his age. Not the rarest wood grain ever, but definitely not common either. Next to him, we have a dapple gray Clydesdale stallion from about the mid 60s or so. He is the muscled version, so he's the later one, and again, also in really nice shape. And let's get started on the Nakota. First, we have my Glossy Bay Pop the Cork. This is actually the only Glossy I have ever pulled in any year of Breyerfest for any of the surprise models. And if I had to pick one, he'd definitely be up there. Next to him, we have the Palomino Pinto Pop the Cork, just the regular matte version. Next to the Palomino Pop the Cork, we have Canarita. He was a mid-state special run in 2011. Next to him, we have one of my pride and joys, Burbank. Burbank was a special run for the 2008 Velvet Rope event. Probably one of, if not my favorite, of the Nokota Konga that I still have. I have zero intentions on letting him go anytime soon. Next to Burbank is Moon Warrior. He was a 2008 Jaw Connoisseur 350 made. He's just absolutely insanely gorgeous. And then next to him we have Fall in Love. And I honestly thought I sold this horse, but apparently I did not. He was a web special from 2011. It's a bit hard to see, but his pinto pattern is actually like fall leaves, so hence fall in love. It's a pun, ha ha ha. Next to him we have Cheveo, who was a 2008 collector's choice. Next to him is Bats in the Belfry. He was a Halloween horse from 2010. That's when Breyer first got back into making the Halloween horses again, and he's definitely one of the better ones, I think, from like the post-original era. And then to wrap the Nokota Konga up, we have Sundance, who was a Breyerfest 2007 special run. Next to him, I actually have two Isadora Cruces. This one is a sample Isadora Cruz that was found in the Ninja Pit, and then next to her is just a regular old Isadora Cruz, who was a regular run. And now we're here for what you probably came for, which is my Othello Konga. There's probably no chance of me ever getting that volunteer model, unfortunately. Basically, aside from the prize models, they're almost all here, which is really cool still. This is Wintersong, who was the 2007 holiday horse. Next to him is my sweet BB Silverado. He was a January 2008 connoisseur horse. Still to date, my most expensive model. Do not regret it. He is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. We have Fox Valley Oliver, who was a regular run. Next to him, we have Saltire the Clydesdale, who was a Breyerfest 2008 special run. Oh my god, poor Ritz looks so green in this light, but this is putting on the Ritz. He was also a 2008 Velvet Rope event special run. 100 were made of him. Next to him is Silver Snow, who was a 2008 web special. We're gonna get into my treasure hunt Othellos next. Those were from 2010, so I have the matte and glossy of every single one. We have Spring First, the matte version, and the glossy version. The glossy version was actually one of my first big show horses. So next to them we have Summer and matte and glossy. And we move on to Fall, matte fall, glossy fall. You might have noticed that I actually did end up getting rid of my extra glossy falls. And then finally on to Winter. So this is the much more common guy, the matte Winter. This is what most people got for the treasure hunt redemption, but Breyer did sneak out a few glossy ones. I'm noticing he's getting rarer and rarer. I very rarely see him advertised for sale at this point. So this is Pomplamoose, I believe that's how you pronounce it. He's the Palomino Sabino one. He was just your regular run-of-the-mill Jaw special run. Next to him we have Mariah's Boone, who was the Breyerfest 2012 celebration horse. We have SBH Phoenix, and then we have Argyle next to him. He was a flagship dealer special run. Honestly, one of my least favorite Othellos. I don't like this rosy cheek thing going on with him, but I mean, he's fine. He's just not the best. And finally next to him we have Xavier the Unicorn. And finally moving on to the very last of the Othellos. This is my only custom, and this is actually the only custom in this cabinet. He's in a nice pretty dappled blue. And then next to him we have Rainer, who I actually somehow managed to finagle my way into getting at cost while I was at school, no less. I honestly think he might be the nicest Othello Breyer has done overall. Maybe second only to like Silverado. He's just like pretty much the closest thing I found to like a dream model that came to life. I actually only have two cigars left, Barbaro and Sato. Sato was another one that I used to have a double of, and of course kept the one with the much nicer shading. And these two are also guys that I've cut down on, so I only have two Carracks left. We have, oh my god, is it Bonifits? French completely escapes me, but he was a Breyerfest special run in 2014. And then we have Cafe au Lait, who was the event model for the Big Easy Bash. Copenhagen Jaw Saddlebred, he was my very first special run I ever bought way back in the Stone Ages of 2005. Next to him we just have Jabosco, and I do have the full Caravelle, and you will see her in a bit. And this is another one of my beloved Kongas. I swear to god I've heard it is technically pronounced in Gaelic Clydesdale. Clydesdale, you know what she is. She's Sarah Meg's Connemara mare. So we have Bangs Vanilla, who's just a normal old regular run. She's actually retiring this year, so if you want one, go get her. And then we have the premier model, Clydesdale, and then next to her is Bramble, who's definitely my favorite Croy, whatever, that they've released so far. She's just absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and I did an unboxing video of her when I got her, so you can see all her pretty details. But yeah, she is just pretty much perfect. Finishing these gals up, we have Chanel, Breyerfest 2015. She's my second favorite. That color completely works on her. And next to her is Sugarloaf, who was a web special. He's a mimer werewers. He's definitely one of my favorite molds Breyer has produced ever. I absolutely adore Marwars, so the second I heard that Breyer was actually putting one into the line, I freaked out. The first one we have is Hokater. He was Breyerfest 2015 because he has the French name. Not my favorite. I'm not huge on the toupee, mane, and tails. He's fine. So next to him is Kalikari, who was the premier model that introduced the mold. And then next to him, we have the Palomino Marwaris, my glossy prize model, who I was so happy to win. I'm so happy I didn't have to pay a stupid amount of money for him. And his matte counterpart, who is actually still very nice. Next to him, we have Raja, who is a Collector Club exclusive, who actually came with a cute little set of Marwari tack. And then the matte Nazrudin, who was the Breyerfest 2017 celebration model. Okay, so I swear to god it's Totalis, but more and more recently I've been hearing people pronounce it as Totilis. I don't really know who's right, but personally I think Totalis sounds better. better, so I'm just gonna say Totalist right now. I have 3 Totalists. I do have the matte black one, but he just has a broken peg, so he is condemned to another shelf at the moment. But I have Enchante, and next to him we have Fabian. Fabian was a Collector Club exclusive. And now we move on to one of my other biggest loves, the Cleveland Bay. Over here is the regular run Bay Cleveland Bay. Next to him we have Matt O'Leary's Irish Diamond, and my other BB, my glossy Irish Diamond, who I won in 2010, and who has been a prized show horse ever since. I adore him. He's one of my all-time favorites. Next to him is Tunbridge Wells from Breyers 2012, and then next to him is Griffin, who was a Collector Club special run, and then next to him we have the JCPenney special run from 2008, the Palomino guy. We have Limerick the Irish Draft from Breyers 2008, and then we have Trooper, who I think is retired now. He was a regular run. He's the police horse with the roached mane. Next to him we have Chicory, who is a Big Easy Bash special run, and another one of my all-time favorites in my collection is Jazz Fusion. He's one of my more pricey horses, but totally worth it. He's just amazing. Here we have Astru, who is a web special. Next to him is Murphy, the Vintage Club Cleveland Bay. He's painted up like the old gray Appaloosa running mare in foal. And then next to him is the regular run Best of British Irish Draft. So next to the Cleveland Bays are the Drafty boys that are giving my love for Othello a run for its money. I absolutely adore Shannon Dell, and I'm really kicking myself for pre-selling my Premier Club one. At the moment, I only have 2 Shannon Dells. On the left is Vahana. He was a Breyerfest 2017 special run. I think they made around 1,600 of him. And then next to him, we have the new regular run for this year, which is the Dapple Grey Best of British Shire. And I honestly think he's one of the nicest regular runs that Breyer has done in a while. Next to him, there's this little awkward gap, which I'm hoping to eventually fill with Marcus or another Copperfox Irish Sport horse, who you will see momentarily. I always think it looks super unbalanced when I just have one of a horse mold in the cabinet. I'm just trying to avoid that, so instead of having one lonely horse, we have one lonely gap, which arguably could be worse, but whatever. My Irish Sport horses are the only Copperfoxes who are in this cabinet at the moment. I have 3. I did used to have a Fabio, but I sold him, and I am kind of kicking myself over that. First, we have both Glossy and Matt Brigadier, who was the special run for what turned out to be the only collector event that Copperfox did out in London, and that happened while I was living in the city, and it was an amazing experience, and we got these really super nice horses. Between that experience and the fact that Copperfox is now defunct, I am not planning on selling these guys anytime soon, and they actually look pretty different in the 2 finishes. And then over here on the right we have Finnegan, who is the Chestnut Irish Sport horse. When the first run of Copperfoxes were released, I honestly thought I was gonna prefer Fabio over Finnegan, so he was the first one I bought, and then as soon as I got him, I was like, dude, this guy is 10 times better than Fabio. He is beautifully shaded, beautifully done, and the fact that he's one of the most sought after Copperfoxes at the moment is totally justifiable. And finally, we're down to the very bottom shelf. This is kind of my catch-all area. So I have my little classic Swarmblood Stallion Konga here. I have my Standing Grey Donkey, and then behind him I have some of my fancy sets that Breyer used to do back in the day. We have the Midnight Ride of Paul Revere on a Bay Black Beauty, the Legionario Flamenco set, the Queen's Household Cavalry set on the Tricator mold. This is actually the Elegance Dressage set that goes with the Solinero, but it's on Art Deco, the JCPenney special run from the 90s on the Hess Hanoverian instead of the Solinero. I think it's actually Solinero, but back to the whole Totalist thing. Finally, we have the Indian Pony and Leote set. And then next to the costume guys, we have my 3 Lonesome Glories. So on the far left, we have the portrait of Zenyatta, who was a regular run. The Appaloosa guy next to her was from Breyerfest 2015 as part of the Kel Surprise. And then finally, to the right, we have Reflector, who was a 2007 Jaw special run, and he's one of the really cool color-shifting Pinto dudes. Finally, in this half of the cabinet, I have the Classics Fire Wagon set. Unfortunately, when I opened it, it was missing the bridle, whatever you call the head part of a driving harness. Whatever it was missing. And so we just have one guy with a naked head, unfortunately. And I know these little dudes are kind of at a weird angle, sorry, but that's unfortunately the only way they fit in here. I have 2 lying foals. I have the vintage Red Roan lying foal and the vintage Black Appaloosa lying foal. And to add to the weirdness of the configuration of this space, I actually have a vintage gray bucking bronco just chilling in the back of the fire wagon with a traditional scale Dalmatian, because why not? This guy, if you can see on his neck, he does have his original blue ribbon sticker, which is quite difficult to find. And my last 2 congas in this cabinet are my Fighting Stallions and most of my Newsworthies. So to the left here, we have a vintage glossy Palomino Fighting Stallion, and here just chilling we have a gray Appaloosa Classics Rearing Stallion, who is kind of like the fighter's little brother. Here's some more glossy fighter goodness. We have the limited editions of Cole and Shockwave. They were made in 2002. Cole is just a glossy resist dapple black, and Shockwave is a glossy resist dapple gray. And then to the right here is my beautiful glossy charcoal. He's not in perfect shape, but his pinks are still really pink, and he has eye whites. I can live with a few tiny flaws because he's so nice. And then finally for the fighters, I just have a matte alabaster. And finally we have Ichabod, who was a Halloween horse a few years back. He's definitely my favorite of the quote-unquote modern Halloween horses that Breyer has done. He's pretty much painted as a blanket Appaloosa, except instead of spots, they are skulls, and he also glows in the dark, so that is really sick. And right here is most of my Newsworthy Konga. These are the larger edition dudes, if that makes sense. The super limited ones I do have in my room in another cabinet. For these guys here, I have the two Best of British Connemara's. There's the loose mane variation and the braided mane variation. I definitely prefer the loose mane variation. Wish Breyer would use it more, and I am looking forward to picking up an easy to spot because that's another loose mane dude. In the middle here, we have Baloo, who was a regular run for a while, and he is a very, very dark variation. If you look at his face, it's like almost black in parts. He actually was sent to me from Amazon. When I opened him up, I was thrilled. I have the Gold Charm and the Bronze Charm medalist ponies, who were dealer special runs in 2008 for the Olympics, and there were 350 made of each of those. And last but most certainly not least, we have Persimmon, who was a web special a few years back as part of the Berry Ponies series. I think they made 350 of him, and he's this super, super nice red roan Tobiano Pinto. Cupcake is a honey bay, which is like kind of a borderline decorator color. He was a Breyerfest 2009 special run. Next to him we have the original Newsworthy, and last but most certainly not least on this tour we have Enchanted Forest, the Dapple Bay regular run from about 2010. He is the horse that won me what was my glossy Rachel Alexandra and turned into my glossy O'Leary's Irish Diamond about 10 minutes later. So thank you, Enchanted Forest, really appreciate that, my guy. So this concludes the tour of the cabinet in 2018. Any questions, comments, concerns, just let me know down below. Hope you enjoyed this. I know many people have been asking for this for literally years at this point. My collection has definitely changed since my last tour of this cabinet in 2015, but honestly, I really think it's for the better. Thank you for watching, and see you later!